Hello, Mrs. Storm. So I'm going to make a very short video for you. Now, it's wonderful to know that this format, about 3 years ago, nobody really made videos for it on YouTube, which is quite strange. I mean, this format was released way back in 1977. And for whatever reason, not many people make videos. Now, in the here and now, you will find at least 5 people, 5 YouTubers who make videos about it, which is wonderful. I mean, the more people that make videos regarding this format, the better success rates that the people will have. Like, for example, you. I really want to help you. For example, I mean, I did recommend a few professionals for you. Now, it's up to you if you want to pay a professional to work on your machine. But I got to tell you, I have faith in you. I believe in you. You can get your machine up and running. I mean, I've done it. I was told many times, you're going to fail. You're not going to succeed. You're not going to be able to get this machine up and running. But I have been able to get 4 of them up and running. No, I have sold them. I sell them for $350 shipped, which I think it's a great price. Now, I've seen this machine sold for up to $1,000 and they don't even work. All right. Now, now I did send you an email regarding this. Now, I did explain this via text, but there's nothing like a video. I've said that many times. There's nothing like a video. Seeing something performed in real time via a video, it's the best. All right, so I believe you already removed the top screws. There's a total of 2, one right there and one right there. And I believe that you also already removed the 4 bottom screws. There'll be one right here in the corner, one about here, one about right there, and one of them on the opposite corner. I already removed all of those to kind of make this video a little bit shorter. But you told me that you were still kind of struggling. Yes, because it is a little involved. Now, believe it or not, you have to remove every single button and dial before removing the faceplate. Let me go ahead and do that right now. You have to remove this right here. That's one. You have to remove that guy. You have to remove this TV/VTR switch. You have to remove that one. You also have to open this little door. You have to remove these 2 adjustment dials. This is the one regarding the skew, and this is the one regarding the tracking. Now, you don't have to worry about mixing these guys up because they're both exactly the same. It doesn't matter which one you place in either side. Now, this is the reason why I keep my machine open, because imagine having to do what I'm doing right now every 2 hours of runtime. It would be incredibly tedious. I mean, it's up to you. All right, you also have to remove these dials. Let me kind of zoom in. I really want you to see this very well. Okay, now regarding these 2 dials, they're the UHF and VHF dials. Believe it or not, you have to remove them in order to remove the faceplate. Now, it's going to be very easy to remove them in this video because I already did it. I actually did not place them back all the way because they're very tight. It's a very snug fit. For example, if this is the first time that you remove these buttons, you're going to have to put some effort into it. You're going to have to manhandle these guys because it's quite a tight fit. Now, I did tell you via the email to be very careful on this bottom one. I mean, especially if this machine it has sentimental value for you. For example, this machine does not have any sentimental value to me because, for example, this did not belong to my father or my parents or my uncles. No, I bought this via eBay back in 2020, so it has very little sentimental value for me. For example, if your machine is very sentimental for you, be very careful. Be very careful with this bottom one because there is a chance you might break a piece on it. All right. So this is a multiple system. The top one is a chromed plastic part, like so. I mean, you might have done this back in the 70s and the 80s regarding televisions. I mean, sometimes these guys would come off without you actually wanting them to. Because back in the days, you have to either pull on them or push on them to turn on the TVs. It's a very old system that obviously you don't have on modern day TVs. Actually, modern day TVs don't even have any buttons anymore. Everything's remote controlled. So that's the top chrome part. This is the bottom black plastic part. As you can see, it's very easy to do because I already did this once before. Now, I did not place it back in there completely because it's very tight fit. Like so. That's the second part. Now this top UHF tuner only has 2 parts, but this one has 4 parts to it. Now this very top part is the one that it might break on you, so be very careful. When you pull it out, try not to pull the sides because their sides are very thin. Try to pull either the top or the bottom. You can either use your bare hands, or you can use a flat slot head screwdriver. There's less chances of creating damage if you use your bare hands. But like I told you, it is going to be tight. It's a very tight fit, like so. That's it, is the first part. Like I told you, this right here, this surface right here is very thin. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So it's quite thin. So there is a chance you might break this. And it would be awful to break such a part if your machine has sentimental value. All right. So like I told you, this is a 4-piece part. This is the second one. See, it's coming off very easily because I did not place it all the way back because I know how hard it is to remove them. Okay, so that's the second part. Now this is the third. This is the one that holds the actual numbers from 14 all the way to 82. You don't really use these parts anymore because they don't really use the analog over the air stations anymore. Everything has turned to digital in the here and now. And this is the fourth part. Like so. You have to remove all of those parts in order to get in here. I'm going to have to zoom in here. Because this is what I believe is it has you a little bit confused as to why this faceplate is not coming off. Now that's because there is, in fact, a screw right there. Let me use my flashlight. All right. Okay, right there. Let me use my screwdriver. Now this is a number 1 Phillips screw. Right there. It's hidden. It's hard to know that it's actually there. So that's the reason why you're not able to remove the front face on your machine. Let me go ahead and remove the screw. Like I told you, it's a Phillips number 1. See? Phillips number 1. I love these screwdrivers. They're imported from Europe. All right, so I'm going to remove that screw like so. Counterclockwise, obviously. Lefty-loosey. See? That's off. That is the screw that's keeping you back, holding you back from removing the front face of your machine. So that's off. Now by removing all of those buttons and dials and that screw right there, I will now be able to remove this face. Now I don't really plan to share this video. I'm actually thinking of not working with this format anymore. It can be a headache. It requires a lot of maintenance, but the recordings that have been made on this format, they're very special. Now you told me you have very rare wrestling matches. It's something very special. Because I mean, the wrestling that you'll find in the here and now is very different compared to back in the 80s. Incredibly different. Everything's very dramatic in the here and now. There's a lot of drama. I mean, besides seeing a fight, you mostly go to a wrestling match to see the drama. All right. Obviously, you have to remove this cable right here. This cable is in charge of these LEDs. That will be the dreaded red LED, which actually activates when your machine struggles too much. And that's the green on LED that'll turn green. Okay, so now I'll be able to remove this face. You start from the top. The top has these 2 metallic pieces where those 2 screws were. You pull those upwards. After you pull upwards, you pull towards you, like so. And that is off, finally. All right. Now, why the need to remove that front faceplate? Well, let me tell you why. You need to remove this front faceplate because if you do not, you will not be able to flip this part right here, this board. Now this is technically the fourth main board on this machine. Now I did tell you via an email, I gotta tell you, there's nothing like a video. This switch. Now I've been able to remedy many problems, including audio issues that would be like a buzzing sound. I had one machine that had a buzzing sound. It wouldn't go away. It was always there. It was like a buzz, always, whenever I would play back a machine. I was able to remedy that buzzing by maintaining this switch. Now, I did tell you that you can use your choice of switch maintenance products. I like using the Oxid brand, specifically the Fader F5 model right here. Now, you don't need a lot of product. 4 drops, technically 4 sprays, because it is a spray-on product. It's all you need. You spray this many little openings in the switch. You spray it in there, and then you kind of work this switch like so. And that product would actually expand to where it needs to be. And I was able to remedy that problem. That's audio buzzing. But also, like, believe it or not, I do record onto this format. And I did have one machine that it refused to record. It was only after I maintained the switch that I was able to record. Now this is technically a multiple switch. There's many different signals that pass through the switch. That means if the switch is not maintained, if it's in bad condition, if it's corroded, for example, it will affect many systems, including the audio, but also including the video. So I do recommend that you maintain this switch. Now, this is not part of regular maintenance. For example, I wouldn't spray the switch every 2 hours. No, I would only do this once every 3 years at most. This is not part of regular maintenance. Now, another reason why I keep my machine open like this is because it really helps regarding maintenance. Now see this right here, that is in fact the pinch roller, the rubber pinch roller. Now by having this part down, it's very difficult to clean that roller. It's very difficult to do a thorough job. Even if I move this part upwards, I still don't have a lot of good access to it. There's nothing like flipping this main board upwards and having completely free access to this pinch roller. Now this pinch roller should be cleaned every 2 hours along with the steel capstan. Now regarding this right here, try not to use 100% alcohol on it because there is a chance you might damage it. It might dry up, it might crack. And it's going to be extremely difficult to find a replacement roller for such a machine. It's not impossible. There are sellers that sell them, but they're very expensive because they know they're also different. They no longer manufacture this black colored pinch roller. It's now a gray colored because I believe it's a superior material. I believe it's like silicone material now. But this guy has its original pinch roller. Like I told you, I cleaned that guy with tap water to avoid having it crack or dry up. Now, you did tell me that you clean the head, which is a perfect idea. Yes, you should absolutely clean the heads. But it's not the only part that you should clean. You should also clean the steel guides. Now, what steel guides do, they guide the ribbon. So they do collect loose particles of oxide over the times. Now, you have a steel guide right there. That's 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th one, which actually spins as a capstan. I recommend you cleaning all these parts. Now, you don't have to absolutely use 100% alcohol, mostly because it's expensive. For example, you can't really go to your neighborhood Walgreens or Safeway and buy 100% alcohol because they'll only sell like 70% or so, which is fine. You can use, there's 70, there's 90. It's fine. All right. Now, you did tell me that you were having problems rewinding your tapes. For some reasons, you have to watch the entire tape before you can rewind it. Now, I suspect why that might be. That might be for one of two reasons. It might be that you have that would be a dirty, that right there. Okay, that part right there, that white colored part, actually spins. That's an idler wheel. Now, if that idler wheel is dirty, it will slip. So you might either have a dirty idler wheel, which is right there, that part right there, that white colored plastic part, that's the idler wheel. I would try to clean that guy. Now, since it is plastic, you can go ahead and use 100% alcohol, no problem. You can also use water, but you'll do a better job with alcohol. That's isopropyl alcohol. Now, you did tell me that you want to replace the belts. Now, regarding the belts, all of the machines that I have worked on, I have not had the need to replace the larger belts. Now, the larger belts are in charge of the video drum. They're in charge of the capstan. They're also in charge of the play and the fast forwarding. This machine has its original belts except for one. The only belt that I've had to change on this machine is the rewinding belt. Because to tell you, I did tell you this via an email, that belt it's way too thin. And it's also the motor that's in charge of it. It's too small, to tell you the truth. So the condition of that belt is very important. You know what? Since I have this machine right here, let me show you that belt. I mean, since I'm in here. All right. Now, I did have to change that belt on this machine. Now, it's been a while. I changed that belt. It's been about 3 years now, because I bought this machine 3 years ago, back in 2020. Now, the belt that I use, believe it or not, is a cheap Chinese manufactured belt that I buy from Amazon. I buy these 50-pack belts. Now, I have said this via my YouTube videos. I'm pretty sure people kind of cringe at the fact. But I mean, you can't beat the price. Now, you can buy 50 size packs on Amazon for $14 delivered right to your door. Since there's so many different sizes, like I told you, 50 sizes, I was able to find a perfect fit for this machine. All right, let me open. I love what the Quasar Motorola brand did with this machine. All of the main boards are hinged. It really helps. When the main board is hinged, it's very easy to get to. I'm pretty sure that they knew that this machine needs a lot of maintenance, so they probably did this on purpose. Now, to be able to remove this main board, you don't remove the screws completely. You just loosen them about 2 or 3 turns. Now, there's 2. There's one down there, and there's another one right there. You loosen those up just slightly. You don't have to remove them completely. By loosening them slightly, you're able to move this main board forwards, like so, and then towards you, like so. Okay. Now that belt I'm talking about, I did have to change it. It's located behind this motor. Now this motor, like I told you, I mean, at least in my opinion, it's too small. I mean, considering the fact that the tapes are so large, they're so heavy. These spools are so large and heavy on this format. That motor seems too small. Okay, now what this motor is in charge of is it only has a single job to do. That's the rewinding. Okay. Now this motor is held down by 2 screws. Let me go ahead and remove those 2 screws right now. Let me zoom in, it really helps, I've noticed. Okay, now before you do this procedure, I really recommend that you try to just clean the idler, because that might be the only thing you might have to do on your machine. That's gonna save you a lot of time, because having to do this takes a little bit of time. You need a lot of dexterity. You need a lot of patience. Now this motor has 2 screws, Phillips, number 1. There's one right there. That's the first one. And there's another one located on the opposite end right there. Total of 2 screws. Now, it would have been wonderful and if I could have just told you, oh, just go to this website and buy this belt. But like I told you, I don't have a specific manufacturer that I can recommend. Now, there used to be a eBay seller that used to sell this belt for this machine back in 2020 and 2021. Now, that seller no longer sells it for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure it's because there's such a small demand for parts for this machine. Not many people work with it. I'm pretty sure that many of the original owners of this machine, I'm pretty sure that they were happy to get rid of it because it's such a difficult format to work with. Not only does it require a lot of maintenance, okay. Now, I have maintained machines for museums and I never charge for my services. I mean, it would be awful for me to charge a museum. No, that doesn't sound right to me. Okay, so I remove those 2 screws and I'm going to remove this motor. Now, whenever I work on motors, I recommend maintaining them. Now, believe it or not, motors, they do require maintenance. Okay. I would try to clean this surface, this brass colored surface, because that's where your belt rests on. Right there. Your belt rests right there. Now, if this surface is dirty, you'll have slipping. So before you place your brand new belt and put this motor back in place, I recommend that you clean that surface very well with isopropyl alcohol. Now, talking about maintenance, I do recommend that you recommend this bearing here. I mean, since you're in here, like I told you, this is not part of regular maintenance. You're not going to be in here every 2 hours. But since you're going to replace your belt, I really recommend that you maintain this bearing. Now, the product that I like using, and I've used this on many different machines, not just video recording machines, also audio cassette decks. And now I use liquid bearings. Why? Well, it doesn't cost too much. You can buy this via Amazon. Now, there are other competitive brands, like, for example, Liberty Oil. I mean, you can use Liberty Oil if you wish. But at least to me, I can't really justify the price. Liberty Oil, it costs way more than this. And it's basically the same 100% synthetic oil product. It's a wonderful product. Now, this product, it was not available back in the 70s. They really didn't have the lubricating technology that you'll find in the here and now. So like I told you, I recommend this product, but you don't have to absolutely use this product. And I recommend, since you're in here, try to maintain this bearing right here. It's very easy to do. You only need 1 or 2 drops. You place those. I love this design. It comes with a needle. That means that you can place the product exactly where you need it. That bearing is located right here, right underneath this brass colored part. So all you do, I'm not going to do it right now because I already did it. You place either 1 or 2 drops in there. After you do so, you go ahead and spin this a couple times. Not only do I recommend you spinning it, I also recommend you moving it back and forth because there is a slight amount of give. See, I'm moving it back and forth. That'll get that oil in there. That'll free up that bearing because the bearings on this machine, many of them are very dry. Because it's been many decades. It's been about 46 years since this machine was manufactured. So the oil that was used in the factories is pretty much gone now. All right. Now regarding that belt, that's this right here. Okay. It's a square shaped belt. Now your belt might in fact be in good condition. If you don't see any cracking on this belt, if it's not sticky, for example, I recommend you just wash it. Wash it with soap and water and place it right back in your machine. Because it might be in good condition. I mean, only you would know because I'm not right in front of your machine. But like I told you, I've been able to find a replacement for this belt by using that 50 size pack of belts that I buy via Amazon. All right. See, it was very easy to remove this belt, but to place it back, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of dexterity. You almost need a third hand. Now that actually moves this pulley right here. Now, before you place your new belt in there, I really recommend that you clean that pulley, the surface on it, with alcohol. Now, this is in fact plastic. It won't get damaged with alcohol. It's fine if you use alcohol. That will be on the side surface. The side surface is where your belt rests on. Before you put your new belt in there, I recommend you clean this entire surface. After you clean that surface, you can go ahead and place this belt. Now, this is the tricky part. Out of this entire procedure, this is the trickiest part. For example, whenever I do this procedure, I don't remove these exterior parts because I try to make this as easy as possible. What I do is I place that belt on the side of this pulley. I hold it in place. Now, as I hold it in place, I go ahead and spin the pulley itself clockwise, like so. That'll get the belt all the way around. Now, I really hope that you don't have to do this procedure because it's not easy. I really hope that you can remedy your problem by simply cleaning that idler wheel. So it's pretty much a reverse operation. Like so. Now that's all the way around. Yes, now that's in there. Let me get some light in here. Okay, that belt is in there. It's all the way around this pulley. Now, obviously you can tell that this pulley is quite old looking because it's very old. It's basically 46 years old, but it's still going. Okay, like for example, this other belt right here, this other belt is in charge of the counter system. It's the original belt. I have not had the need to replace that guy because it is in fact thicker. This is probably a 4mm thick belt. This belt that I'm touching right now, it is not a 4mm belt. It is in fact a 2mm belt. Since it's that thin, it tends to stretch over time. When you have a belt that stretch, you'll have slipping. All right, so that belt is in place. Now what I do is I go ahead and place it back on this brass pulley, like so. Okay, it's in place. So after that is in place, you go ahead and screw this motor back in place. Like I told you, it has a total of 2 screws, one on either end. Yeah, there are no videos regarding this procedure on YouTube. I might share this, I don't know. Like I told you, I'm thinking about not working with this format anymore. Now it has been a headache for me. I mean, besides the Cartridge Vision format, the Cartridge Vision format, it's a much bigger headache. It requires even more maintenance at the VX format. Yes, the Cartridge Vision format. You need a lot of patience with that format. Okay, so it's back in place. Now, I really hope that this video helps you. Like I told you, there are no other videos regarding this. Okay, so that's in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and place back the screw. That holds it in place. That is this guy. It's a Phillips #1. Now, I'm sorry about my camera. This is actually a cell phone. I don't use a professional camera. I know I said that many times on my YouTube videos. Because I believe that anybody can do this. I mean, if you have patience, I mean, if you have experience with a simple VHS machine, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to work on anything that's videotape based, including the VX format, including cartridge vision. I mean, why not? There's actually some wires that are in my way. Let me try to move those wires out of the way. Yeah, that helps. Now, I've only done this a total of 5 times because I've only worked on 5 machines. That's not much experience. Like I told you, there are professionals. For example, Richard Deal. He must have worked on dozens and dozens of these machines. Also, Mr. Rick Klein of OVS, Obsolete Video Services. He must have worked with dozens and dozens of these machines. I mean, they have way more experience than I do. Like I told you, I've only started working on this format 3 years ago. Which is basically a blink of an eye compared to the amount of experience that the professionals have. All right. I just need a lot of patience, dexterity to place this screw back in place. There we go. All right, placing that back in place. This is nothing, this is not rocket science or brain surgery here. Like I told you, you just need patience. All right, so that's back in place. I just showed you how to change that belt regarding the rewinding system. Like I told you, this is not part of regular maintenance. And hopefully you don't have to do this. Like I told you, hopefully you just have to clean that, that idler wheel. Now there's a reason why these parts get dirty over time. This machine has a huge motor. One of the 2 motors on it is huge. Not only does it have a huge motor, it has a huge fan right on top of that motor. Let me show you that. Okay. Okay, now that's this motor. It's huge. It's basically the size of 2 tuna cans on top of each other. Now, not only it has a fan on top. This part, this plastic part, is actually a fan. When this spins, it creates movement of air. That's the reason why you have these protrusions here. That's the inlet, air inlet. Air comes in here, and what this motor does basically, it throws air right in here, right into the machine. It's basically a vacuum cleaner. For example, if your environment, for example, if you have carpeted floors, I recommend not keeping such a machine resting on a carpet, because it's pretty much gonna suck up any loose contaminants from your carpet. It's gonna grab them and throw them in here. When it throws out all that dust in here, it contaminates the belts, the pulleys, the video drum, everything. It pretty much contaminates everything. That's the reason why you might have a dirty idler wheel. Once again, let me kind of show you where that is. It's right there, that white colored part. Simply clean that part with a Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol. That might be the only thing you have to do to remedy that rewinding problem that you have. All right, so I think that's it for this video. Yeah, I still believe that a video is the best. I mean, more than audio over a telephone call, more than a simple text message or an email. Even if that email has images attached to it, there's nothing like a video. And like I told you, I believe in you. I believe that you can digitize your very special recordings. I mean, you can keep those recordings in the analog world on the videotapes and play them back. I mean, why not? There's something very special about analog video. I know it's flawed. I know the resolution on it is very low. Okay, now this is just my opinion, but I believe that this format, it records in a resolution that's somewhere between CED, the RCA CED format. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that format. It's a format that was released back in 1980 by RCA. Now, it was actually invented way back in the 60s, but it took 2 complete decades for RCA to be able to release that format. By the time they released the RCA CED format, you already had Laserdisc, and Laserdisc performs so much better than CED. There's no friction, there's no actual contact. It's a laser-based format instead of the stylus-based format of CED. Anyways, this video is not about the CED format. It's the resolution is somewhere between that and the VHS SLP mode, super long play. For example, the long play mode and the slow play mode really outperforms this format. It really does. It's somewhere between CED and SLP mode VHS format. All right, so I think that's it for this video. And like I told you, you can keep emailing me if you have more questions. For example, if it comes to a point where you believe you can't get your machine up and running again, I gave you some contacts regarding some actual professionals. Thank you.